To grow up here is very evil, I would say, because there are a lot of stuff you see. If you start being gangster, you won't get out. Yeah, you can't guarantee if you're gonna live tomorrow, because you're dead already.
And we are live to one pod. Here we
Yes!
go. People, before I introduce this gentleman to my right, this is highly requested. When we opened the pod initially, I told my twin brother, Cameron, Dwayne, first person came to mind. On my right hand side is a man with an incredible story. All you need to do is listen. I have Dwayne all the way from listen. Not Menenberg, as Menenberg. And when you're an insider, you understand that. Dwayne,
Minenberg.
how are you? Welcome to the Twin Pod. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here and I'm privileged to be here.
You know what? And I told Cam, can we look here, man? We find a story where people can learn.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important. You have an incredible story about resilience. Before we get into that, I want you to tell us about your childhood, where you grew up, how you grew up, the schools you attended, etc. Come on.
Kijk eens, hij had me hier Pitacool. Pitacool was die plek om bij te
Yeah.
I grew up in Pitacool.
Okay.
It's opposite the Greens. So it's basically it was a gold mine. It was the only court that's alone. So we always used to stay in as a unit together.
Okay.
And kids used to operate together. Sometimes we didn't agree with one another, but we always had a solution until it messed up again.
Okay. Bro, were you not in school? Dat is geweest.
Oh, my broer, kakstuk. Ik praat van mijn eerste jaar, ik praat nou die dag, dat was ik 12 Februari, 13 jaar sober.
Okay, wow.
Praat ik in mijn andere klasmaat, het zijn naam mensen niet, maar ik
Okay.
zeg met de win, ons kom een lang pad, ik zeg mijn broer, als het vir jou kan gebeur en vir my kan gebeur, wat daar vir allemaal. Because twee van ons principals had gesê, sy vat jou pak soos 'n man en sy huil soos 'n vrou.
Wat is school gaan? Primary school.
Park, my broer, Primrose Park
Wow.
was like the Constantia of Menenberg.
You know what, my
always
brother?
You look down on Red River. I'm sorry to say it, and we look down on Rio Green.
Yeah.
Downfall. But there was a downfall to that side, bro, because I'm there. You're not the majority, you're the minority.
Yeah.
Because not everyone in my road. I think I was the 1 out of 10 kids that went to Primrose Park in our road. So everyone used to go, nah, you gaan naby Sturby school. So I always had that battle to prove myself that I'm not Sturby, and I wanted to show them that I'm not Sturby.
You know what is so amazing is that we have so many things in common, the three of us. Primary school together, we share a birthday,
Yeah.
the three of us. So it's mind blowing, man, to have you on the
I
podcast.
think it's September babies, man.
September baby,
I
bro.
think we should tell everybody
Wa-
to
Virgo.
plan for September.
Yeah,
Virgo,
but
bro.
if you count 9 months back from September, then more or less festive baby, December.
Ja, my ma het lekker aangegaan. So, ek is
Dwayne, look here. Do you come from a secure family in terms of mommy and daddy around support structure?
Nah, I met my dad. I think I was about 7 years old when 7 or 6 years old when I was introduced to him.
To the first time?
I don't think that's the first time,
Yeah.
but that's the first memory that I remember.
Okay.
At my aunt's 21st at the church here on the Bend. The Catholic church, no?
Yeah.
In that hall. And my aunt said to me, I remember my aunt said, there's your dad. And I was like, nah. Auntie Mariah had me nog genoemd. And I said, nah, that's not my dad. I believe my mom's elder brother was my father.
Okay.
Until he's told like, nah, it's your uncle, it's your pa.
Your pani.
Disappointing me, joh, I'd see.
Look here, how did that influence you in terms of your development as a man?
I always had to prove myself. My whole childhood life, I was told, you the man, you the boss. So I grew up in the house with my grandmother, my mom, my aunt, and my sister.
Okay.
My uncle stayed in the backyard, so I was the only man in the house. So this thought and this image was portrayed to me that you were the man of the house. My family were dealing drugs and we were groomed. You never talked about what was going on at home. So drugs was a norm for me, you understand? I used to see drugs going up and down. I reflected on it the other day and I was like, we stayed in a council flat where the kitchen window and the bathroom window was across each other. So my granny used to put a line across there to hang all the drugs.
Whoa, your
in
granny?
between the clothes, yeah. My grandmother was a dealer.
To hide the drugs?
To hide the drugs outside. Because the rule is in Menenberg, if drugs is found outside,
it don't belong to you.
It's yours.
Yeah. Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So she had that mentality and I learned all these behaviors. So this honesty been a big part of my journey from a young age. I was groomed not to speak at school about what was going on at the house. You understand?
Were you, by groomed, do you mean you were instructed? Zij praat nie, ze gaat op je moeder krijgen.
Ja, ze praat wat gaan bereiken.
And if you do like speak, what's going to happen to you?
You can be reprimanded or you can be disciplined, you understand? But like the lie was put to you like this, you the man of the house, you need to take care. So I believe that from a young age.
Yes.
I'm the boss of the house. I'm the only man there. In majority of the homes in Menenberg, that's the lie that's being portrayed. Jy man, jy moet staan. Even though the child is not a gangster or a drug dealer, if his family deal and it's his mom or it's a woman, you need to stand for that woman. That's the lie that's being portrayed to our community, to our youngsters, you understand, to the boys. So jy gaan staan of jy moet man staan. You understand? Okay. And that's what I believed.
Do you have any stories now where they maybe raided?
Yeah. I had like woke you up in the middle of the night, your bed is being turned upside down. You wake up tomorrow, you go, it's normal. Your mom have to clean up, make the house decent again because the police, they don't worry about what they do or how they do it.
Have your mom ever been arrested?
Yeah.
Oh.
My mom has been arrested, my sister's been arrested, I've been arrested.
Look at you and your childhood, don't you like, how do you have a childhood when you have so many traumatic experiences?
I literally, talking about it, I said to my wife, even now being a father, I'm a bit strict with my kids. I don't want my kids to make the same mistake as I did.
Okay.
So
how many kids do you have?
4.
Oh, bizar.
My bro, wat? Bizar so. Maar jy kyk kom my bro. Ja maar nou mamma een en nou weer.
Ek het dit dan saam begin. Sy
nog
3 meter as my.
Nee, ek het nie saam begin nie. Sy was by jou. Hier sit ek met my. Hoe gaan jy dit?
Ek klink bad nou.
Ons is saam op al eerlik. Nee bro. But yeah, coming back to it.
Yeah, you mentioned that you're 13 years old. 13 years.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if you can recall. Do you remember the first day where you decided you were going to use drugs? I thought the first day or the first moment. You remember that day?
I remember that, like heavy drugs. So alcohol comes from age 6. I used to because my family were dealing and selling alcohol. They didn't have that time to walk with me to the field, to go kick a ball, or to walk me to, or watch me play football. They needed to be op a pos for the boeren. You understand? They were working. So my uncle, he used to take me sometimes weekends. I sit amongst his friends, take a glass here and there. The end I'm just sick. Then my sister carried me up home.
How old were you?
6 years old.
So he would give you.
I used to hang out with him. I remember with Uncle Avi, I had incidents. Uncle Avi was amazing. I didn't spend a lot of time with that man, but he tried to be a role model, father figure, encouraged me in my life. He sadly passed away when I was still in primary school. But even with him too, he allowed me to here and there take a sip of his glass. But for me as a kid, 6, 7 years old, you get a sip of a paar glasses.
Exactly.
And you
mind-blowing.
Pass out. I remember Auntie Tija used to stay in the corner, but she had a massive tree in the yard.
Yeah.
pass out under the tree because the schoolboys
The sad.
The first daily drive.
Yeah.
How do you remember that?
I just finished primary school,
Okay.
turning 13.
Okay.
And I remember I was sitting, it was a holiday, I was sitting in front, just before the school holiday, I was sitting in front of our gate. My uncle went to prison for drugs, and then my friends came to me, so I then took over my uncle's shack at the back of my mom's yard. So my friend came to me and said to me, Dwayne, me and Cripple just want to go to the back and use. And I went with them. That time was the globe crystal meth, massive globe and all of that thing.
You have the globe you have to put in the normal globe. Yeah.
Massive one. I remember my first hit. We used to call it Chase the Dragon.
Chase the Dragon?
Why Chase the Dragon?
Because when you burn the crystals in the globe, that smoke swirl in it, and we used to use paper money to like inhale the smoke out of the globe.
You know what happened?
Wow.
You know what happened? I was like 13, 12 years old. Ik zei mijn haren met die bra. Dat is mijn haren. Die was saying, "Hoe je zo nee gaan nou trim?" En dan dolie ik.
Here's the squid slut.
That guy is busy. There is not a smell or scent.
No, it's not.
It's just
warm. And white
like,
smoke.
there is a certain, you don't get like a mandrak or something smell. You get, it's just white and sometimes bitter. A bitter taste. It dries out your mouth. But that was the very first time, and I remember that night I was looking at the ceiling whole night, man, bro. Yo, I couldn't wait for the morning, bro, to get out of the bed. Honestly.
Oh.
But that was, after that first hit, man, bro, I chased after that hit my whole life. Or my whole journey of addiction. I tried to get it high and I never got it.
The first one?
Yeah. So the first one was the best. But I always thought if I use a little bit more, I'm gonna get that hit. I'm gonna get that feeling. But I never got that feeling back.
And that is why you went back again.
Yeah, that's why you go back and more and more and more. But I never had that feeling again. It's that adrenaline rush that you try and get. But I never got it again out of the drug. So I just went and I got, the thing that the drug gave me was confidence. I can be anything.
Is it? The Superman.
My broer kykie, sy my vra om 'n bouman te as 'n elektriesien uit. Ek was maar check hom my broer. Ek is enige iets. It gave me where I lacked. That gave me confidence.
Okay, now obviously you need to feed your habit.
Yeah, you have to, bro.
So, and I would think that you know it's not finance.
Yeah.
So how would you feed your habit? What would you do to feed that urge?
My bro.
Poke.
Steal.
My bro steal.
From your own family.
Kyk my ma hartseer man. Oh. Ek my ma, my suster, ek het hulle hartseer man. Ek wil dit nie gedoen het nie, want ek het hulle bystuur man. Daar was oggende waar ek hulle dop gehad, dink hulle ek slaap. Onthou sit die laaste ding wat ek vat het. Met crystal meth kan ek myself nog maintain het, kan ek nog boundaries ondersit met myself. Exclude this, ek sê nie is bad. It's bad.
It's bad, yes.
It's bad, bro, but I feel like a self-respect for myself I had still when I used crystal meth. But in the house I used to break down everything. If I had to steal, I steal, bro.
So you were very aggressive. You were very aggressive.
I was aggressive, lying, manipulating. It's like at primary school I used to be this. They never knew I was full of nonsense because I always used to hide it well. But when drugs came along, I couldn't hide it.
It's like you don't have that coping mechanism.
You just snap. But then the twist for me is like when I dropped out of school, my mom tried to get me help through the school. I went to a program called Sarki Barkman. The age of not 14 yet. They found out the first year I started using, my mom found out, but she almost killed me. She was broken.
How did the mom find out?
There was this, I don't know if you guys know that game, where you ask this dice thing, questions, yes or no, and it asks and one of my friends asked, did Wayne use drugs?
What?
And that thing, they spin it and it said, so yes, but I don't think it's accurate.
Yeah.
It said yes, and my sister's friend was standing on the staircase, and she went to go tell my sister. I was still in school when I got home. I was still like, I tried to be the sweet boy coming out of high school, first year of high school, trying to do my homework. My mom came to sit with me in the living room. She was like, are you using drugs? Yeah. I said, nah, I tried to deny it. But then she just threw a spin and she's like, nah, I'm going to buy a drug test.
And then they found out.
I was like, nah, listen, rather not let her waste that money. Just come on. As like, I just said I am using. And the woman was on me in a flash moment. She's a short lady on my chest. She almost killed me.
Yeah.
Okay, did your mom throw you out or just reprimand you?
Nah, she reprimanded me. She never bought me stuff. My mom was dealing drugs. My granny was dealing drugs. My family, drugs was like our family business.
There was
the cycle started from my grandfather down.
So you were predisposed.
Yeah.
To the drugs and to what was happening.
Yeah.
So when you used, and then your mom reacted towards that.
My mom, look, my mom don't smoke. She don't drink.
Okay.
She don't use drugs.
Okay.
So the only thing is she learned behavior for her. It's a pattern. Like a few years ago, they caught a guy here in Menenberg, and I laughed. In the newspaper, this guy, he justifies behavior by saying, I never knew that marijuana were illegal. And I actually believed him. Because it's such a norm in the community. You understand? It's like the kid grow up seeing that uncle standing with the pill. The police drive by, the uncle just hide it. You understand? So it becomes a norm in a person's brain. So they don't think, it's not anymore where you think, nah, I need to hide it. The same today with gangsterism. Kids don't hide it anymore.
It's out there, yes.
It's out there. It's accepted in the community. So that kid believed now that marijuana was legal. And that's for me how that affected my brain too. My uncle, my granddad, when I dropped out of high school, I will never forget that phone call. He said, listen, it's either you're gonna go back to school or you're gonna look for a job. I was 16, 17, or you're gonna deal drugs. And I said, nah, I'm gonna deal drugs. I didn't see my granddad. He's doing well dealing drugs, driving a car. He has guys cleaning his house for him. Why won't I want to do that? On school, I used to sell marijuana. I used to sell cigarettes. That was my education.
And it was your income.
Yeah, it was my income. It wasn't that I didn't like maths was my favorite subject.
Yeah, because you were counting the weed.
I was counting the money, bro.
The
money. Listen, at home, when I was about 7, 8, they used to allow me to serve the people. They couldn't fool me because I was
street smart.
Street smart, bro. A 750 is a 500, 200, 500.
Kwai.
Of was nie 500, I'm not 200, just 200 in a run.
Nee bro, ze kan me ongezien het mee bro.
Nee, ik zie niemand aan die papa.
In zijn kapokau. Maar je dan eens.
Hier heeft ze maar 8 mensen. Robin Hood.
Big door.
Mijn praktisch daarna, zo is die atomische bieren afleveren.
Did you ever associate yourself with gangsters?
Yeah, not to mention any names.
Yeah, we don't to mention names.
So, I grew up in a time where one specific gang in our community, I think we all know it,
okay,
had a massive stance around the community. And a friend of mine, he sadly passed away a couple of years ago too. He was a bit older than me. He joined this gang. My uncle, my granddad, all of them were gangsters. So
same gang or
no different gang, the rivals. But I grew up in my granddad's rival gangs territory. And my friends became that part of the gang. So I used to hang out with the gangs, used to hold guns. And I thought I was cool. This young 13-year-old walking with a gun, standing with a gun, showing people, hey, smoking a pipe, and then I pull out a gun. My friends thought I was cool. Everyone in high school thought, nah, he's cool because he's connected with these big guys.
It's a strip.
Sometimes these guys come and get me at school.
Wala sa baita. Wala. Snipers. Snipers.
He's not fever me, bro. He's cool. Maar die binnen, niks. Binnen gaan niks aan nie, bro. Hallo. Dit is net vir hy moments, hy manskap gekoop. Salut. Ouens is hier, ek kan nou lekker loop, ek kan nou rol. Ek hoef nie om te worry van 'n ander brusse nie.
When was the day when you decided I had enough? I'm done with everything. Can you do you remember?
I tried a lot.
And then you relapse again?
I remember there was one day, like, before that, I had an incident one evening. I won't forget it. There was a Gatsby place here in Menenberg Avenue. And my sister and my mom sent me to go buy 2 Gatsby's for us. Steak Gatsby's.
Oh.
That time I think it was about 80 or 90 rand a Gatsby.
Oh.
But I didn't smoke a whole day, bro. So I came up with this grand plan. I had Billabong was still in that time. So I thought, hey, this is an old Billabong shirt that I have, but it still look nice. So I tear this Billabong shirt and I said, now was a rob behind Raider.
Street smart, bro.
But then, I was smart. Then my brother-in-law went, they tear up your shirt, but they didn't take your genuine jacket. I was like, nah, I was fighting with it, but then I let the money go in my pocket and they ran. And he didn't buy into that story.
Yeah.
My mom didn't let it go. But the wheels fall off there and I felt like killing myself. Felt like, nah, I'm done. Because I get some cuck, I steal it home. I rob my family. I entertain my friends. The moment the money is gone, friends are not there. Hy gaan nou hier staan nie te lekker warme boot kos. Nou moet ek buite staan terwyl my ma Kentucky eet. Hou my nie sien.
Oh. Next level.
So I remember there was one incident where my mom said all her mother's earrings is a inheritance, almost like passing on.
Okay.
And I was desperate to use. I stole this bag of jewelry, gold jewelry. I went to go sell it. I think I got about 2,000.
That's a lot of money, bro.
That's global.
Yeah, I put it on the scale and I just smoked all that money.
Oh.
And then that evening, my mom was so disappointed. My mom didn't find it immediately, I think a couple of days. And she chucked me out of the house. Didn't want anything to do with me. And I started at night trying to get food and that. My sister gave me food. And this one evening, my mom bought this, the KFC buckets.
Yeah. 21 piece.
And my sister's daughter, I think she was 1, walking and she tried to give me a drumstick through the gate. She's almost, a full-on KFC stick. But as she's almost at the gate, and as she come, my mom just picked her up with it and said, don't give him food.
Yeah, next level, bro.
And I, honestly, that bit hit me hard, and I was like, nah, I need to change my life, but I didn't know how. So I just kept on going, and I just kept on suppressing the feeling by using. The moment I use, all the feelings are shut down. But if I don't have, and if I'm alone, I sit lie in my bed and cry. Then the emotions start coming. Then the feelings come. And you don't want, in Menenberg, remember here by us, we don't show weakness. So I couldn't do it in the moment. When my mom took that child away, I couldn't do it. I had to hold the courage to keep myself tough so that they don't see the weakness. So then I walk away, find myself alone crying. And I had a lot of those incidents, but I couldn't show it to the community. Otherwise, that will be used against you.
So what? They helped you rehab, or where did you go to? Where you found out?
There was this one guy. He was just him and another friend. This friend first, he came and he asked me the question one day, when are you happy with your life? And I was like, I'm destroying it. The wheels were falling off because I told you guys earlier, my granddad gave me the opportunity to sell drugs. It went well for a month or a couple of weeks, and then I used all the profit and all the drugs that my granddad gave me, and he was pissed off with me. And the wheels were falling off, friends were hiding, not wanting to associate with me because I didn't have any more. So now just slowly going down. And and he asked me that one day. He came to look for a friend of mine that just came out of prison, and I couldn't find this friend. He asked me, "Are you happy with this lifestyle you're living?" I said, "Nah, I'm not. But what else can I do? I'm destined to be either a dealer or a violent person, an aggressive person. Because my whole family cycle life, my uncles, everyone is gangsters. They are dealers, they are violent, they are known for their aggression. So I thought, nah, that's where I'm going. That's what I need to work towards. And that's how my uncles also taught me. You need to toughen up. One day you're going to find yourself in a place where you need to be hard. That was prison that I talked about, and I did find myself in that place, and it's hard. There you're alone. There you can't rely on your family.
It's not your mama's house.
Jy kan nie microwave toe gaan nie. Kan net sê, nou gaan brood koop. Ja, is 1 keer, 2 keer eet vir die dag.
So, did this white man or
So my one friend, he said to me, Dwayne, let's meet up every day for an hour. But he said to me, let's meet up on the greens.
Okay.
So there was a commitment that I needed to make of being there every day for an hour. And I went every day for an hour because I can still go use when I go back. You understand? But he saw that commitment. And then he introduced me to this white guy that he was hanging out with, and this guy started becoming a friend and wanting to help, and he was persistent. He was like, literally, I went to go stay with this guy, and I just stole a lot of stuff of this guy. I literally
stole from the white man?
Yeah, man. Kijk hier. Ja, opportunity had ik gekregen. Als hij met me gemiet is, roek het me, joh, schoenen is weg. Mijn broer, kijk, als hij me hier niet laat, laat ko. Oh, maas, als hij leidt die. Kijk, ik heb de check, ik heb aan mijn recovery net, ik heb top gegeven. Wat gestaan het. The guy your mom used to warn you about.
Yes.
Hij was een addiction. Ik dacht, yes. Ik praat met je, ja, maar ik kijk wat ik kan vatten. Ik praat met mijn ogen aan hier. Waar is die items?
Wat, kijk zo om?
Ik kijk goed, ik praat van. Koepelijnen, mijn broer. Eén dag als ik mijn broer. Ja, ik ga mezelf een crimineel doen. Mijn broer, ik ga niet zien waar, ik ga niet zien wat. Het is zo goed.
Ja.
Ik zit heel dag met een paar wires. Een moerse klom wires, maar ik krijg niet een 5 gram van wires.
Zoet jy maak 'n fee, hy donker ook.
Hy donker.
Wat zoet, jy het kan asemhaal.
Ik heb alles uitgevoerd.
You mentioned that you met this guy for an hour every day. And then what do you guys do? Do you speak
just
about
chatting about the challenges and how hard it is, and relating on. He just related and like trying to be the ear and listening.
You know what now? And obviously you're not oblivious to this, but many people out there, they don't have that. That person.
Nah, they don't. Bro, a lot of the kids today, man, you can give them that person or that opportunity just to listen.
There's people there who's willing to help.
Nah, just to listen to that person will feel valuable and seen. A lot of the kids, they're not seen or heard. That's why they go out and they either act rationally to be seen or they do something. As kyk is amper so tantrum gooi. Ek sien dit nou al in my kinders so. As ek nie my dogter se aandag in raak sy.
Attention.
Yeah.
We want attention. We all want to be seen, bro. All of us has an aim of we want to be known. Some of us don't have the ability to stop ourselves to get there. And some of us just run with it. Kyk, ze kan nie net 'n reis hardloop wat ze weet nie waar toe ze gaan of wat ze hardloop nie. But some of us do it.
Wait, a question. Are you proud of the person that you've become?
Huh? Bro, sometimes I'm sitting there and saying, yo.
That's really fun.
Yeah, I thought, honestly, as I sat with this white guy one day and I said to him, I won't forget it. We were sitting in Kent Street. And he just bought this house and I stayed with him there, sitting on the side of the house and saying, I relapsed again. I said to him, listen, I think the Lord, this is the plan the Lord has for me to be a drug addict. Because countless opportunities, but I just keep on failing. But I believe it's because I believe that lie that I'm a failure. My bro, my maat me gesê, the way if her private parts wasn't attached to her body, I was so bad that I would have steal it and go sell it. That's how my mom described how aggressive and deceitful I was. So for me, I believed all of that. She used to utter the words, I wish I suffocate you in the womb because of my aggression and violence that I had. As a kid, I was a disappointment for her, and I believed all of that. You see, we don't understand the power that words have over a person. Hy sê hy kind, ons gaan neig om in die menenbank te sê, nah, hy kind is stout. Hy kind is stout, hy soek aandag. As ons my aandag gaan gee, en hy kind by hy. Ek praat nou die dag met 'n klong, gister ek sien 'n klong hier in die Petta. Hy is nou die een wat, hy nou die leitie wat die kak soek, stukkie met 'n mes, goeie met 'n klip. Maar hoekom kan ek en hy in 'n geselskap hê? En praat oor die goed. Hy soek net hy persoon om te luister. Verstaan jy? Ja. Ons het nie daai mense met as jy hier in die Menenberg vir iemand jou diepste secrets sê. Disappointment. So what do we do not to get disappointed? We build walls. We suppress ourselves and we put walls where we shouldn't have put walls, you understand?
And then you know what happens now? And then what happens is we suppress the emotion and it gets to a point where we are unable to suppress and then we explode. Yeah. Then people say, yo, ek kan nooit geweet jy so nie.
But we don't see what happened.
Yeah,
lead to that point. Verstaan, kyk jy sometimes dat sê net die man het uit. Ja, kyk, sê goed wat hy moet. Wat is 'n gemeenskap vir ons geleer het. Kyk, wat sê ons hierso? Ons sê eigenlijk, kyk, moenie jou eie mense seer maak nie. Gaan daar, Constantia, daar.
Ja, moenie hierop daar.
Ja, maar like, sê ja, per die persoon deel met die route.
True.
Jy wil maar net weg van jou mee. Verstaan jy?
You make a problem.
Verstaan jy? Ja, per persoon.
Moenie roppie.
The only thing the symptom.
My ma sê vir my nou die dag, ja, meneer, hy klom, ja, ek vraag van kop. Ja, hy skelm.
Jo.
Bro, hy sê my weet, ek sê nie. Hy was in Ikke.
Jo.
Verstaan, hy was Ikke. So, as hy gaan sê van hy klom, sê ek my ma, wat dink sy van my? Ek was aan nou die dag af wat hy klom gewees het.
My friend, thank you for joining us on the Twin Pod. This is definitely only part 1. We will definitely, do a part 2 with you. I think what you are doing is amazing and we are truly inspired by your resilience in spite of your difficulty. So part 2 definitely coming up. Twin Pod. Cheers.